Hello, everyone. My name is Asaad.
I'm Sarah.
And this is 2/3 of Last Second C. And we have a big announcement, right?
We do?
Yeah. Last Second C has finally made a Patreon and pivoted to YouTube memberships.
Fire, what does that mean?
That means if you become a member on either, you get early access to all of the content on our page. Do you know what that includes?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay, we got web series. We got Gray Area, starring us.
Yes.
Which is fun.
It's
and a
good time.
lot of other people.
It's a great time.
And then we got what else?
Reggie.
Jazz
the
We've
Rapper,
got
Lou Castro.
Trial and Error.
Ace Amin, Loso, Geechee
Geechee.
Gotti. Yes.
Come on.
We have rap battles on our page, a lot more coming that you will get early access to. We got battle rap breakdowns from Daylight, Geechee, and we also have the newly launched Dirty in the Frame podcast starring none other than Sarah Rebecca Stouffer. Not sure you wanted people knowing your middle name, but there it is. Please consider becoming a member today where you do get this early access and we can continue bringing you great content that we love.
Yes, we love to make it, and I think you guys like to watch it, and it's not free, so please help us out. We love you guys. Thank you so much for considering subscribing, and we will see you on the screen.
Sarah Stouffer, we are back like Cook Critidadak. You were in Athens, Greece, filling up guys named Marco.
Marco?
Yeah, for 10 days.
Their names were Christos.
Christos.
Christos Anesti.
Yes, you were bikini bound on a beach drinking margaritas while I was in Los Angeles, California.
No, you were in Toronto.
Toronto for a couple days. But we are back. We've seen the creator. Welcome back to the DTF Podcast, a show that stars Sarah Rebecca Stouffer and me that pushes buttons for her. Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing so great. Thank you all for joining us today. We are not a crook. I don't know why I was doing this earlier, but I was excited to be here, and I still am. We are going to be talking about today the creator.
Yes, we saw the creator. We saw the creator.
Asaad,
Yes.
where did you see the creator? What movie theater did you see the creator at?
I think our supporters know this of the pod. Anything that's a black lead, I go to see in Baldwin Hills,
Hell yeah.
Los Angeles, California. They have a really poor movie theater there where the sound sucks, the movie theater sucks. Not a lot of treats, but Raisinets.
Not a lot of treats. They have the normal treats. I've been there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm supporting a black-owned business. I don't even think it's a black-owned business, but that's where black people are in Los Angeles, so I saw it there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it at Regal, LA Live in 4DX.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. My popcorn flew. It was 10 a.m. I got popcorn and a Pepsi, of course, because you can't go with nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good breakfast. You got your carbs, your sugar.
Yeah. So I went to a black-owned theater. Do you seek out white-owned theaters?
I don't seek them out. I just own them.
That's how
My
privilege works.
ancestors own them.
That's how nepotism works.
Oh no! As Fox Sports. Yeah. So the creator, I was jarred awake to see this. No, actually, I flew home. This is a real fun story. I flew home, got in at 1 a.m. to my apartment, and I was wide awake because Greece is about 11 hours time difference. And I was like, well, gotta stay up. I stayed up. I slept for 2 hours, woke up the next morning, was like, I'm wide awake. What time's the first movie? I'm gonna go see the creator. So I went to see the creator, had some nice breakfast popcorn, got thrown around a little bit because it was those moving seats. And, you know, we had a time.
I went to go see in Baldwin Hills, where they have the ready-made Pizza Hut pizzas.
Fuck yeah.
It's a small one, just like 4 bites.
Was it good?
Yeah, sometimes those hit, and I was not gummied up for this movie.
That sounds delightful.
I know, I should have been gummy. The food was so good that I'm like, I should have had a gummy before this. But yeah, first thoughts on the creator. I've been kind of anxious. We haven't spoken about it really that much, but you want to take the floor or is it me?
I'll do it, yeah.
Let's do it.
My first thoughts were, and I quote,
I just pictured like an action-packed trailer, and when they take like quotes from other journalists that have seen the movie, New York Times says,
it's explosive. Sarah Stover says, it's like a dying lamb. Yeah, my last breath is.
I did see that in my research of it, the working title was The Creator.
It was visually stunning. Unfortunately, the acting and the writing were lacking for Sarah.
That's your first thoughts? You're done there?
That's my first thoughts. That's not what we're supposed to start with, but we got into it.
I'm sorry. What were we supposed to start with?
No, that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's not all. Let's be.
Yeah, let's mix it up.
Let's be water.
Let's not be robots. Let's not be AI robots doing the same thing over and again.
Yeah. So I blame the writer, director, producer, the guy who did all of it, editor. Good for you, bro. By the way.
Yeah.
Good for you. Definitely a white man with his own money. I don't know that. Writer, director, editor, producer did it all, and I think the writing could have used maybe a different writer. Maybe give it to somebody else to punch it up or whatever. It was a cool concept, but it was meh for me. Let me hit you with the logline. Against the backdrop of a war between humans and robots with artificial intelligence, a former soldier finds the secret weapon, a robot, in the form of a young child.
That's cool. It's a cool logline.
It's such a cool concept. It's a very cool concept for a movie, I think. Do you think?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's been done?
And it's the only way to get me to like kids. I hate those little fuckers. But I like robots.
No, my computer. Hold on. Hold on a second. Why did you say that? What?
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. I hate kids, man. But I like robots, though. I'm a big fan of robots. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was wine all over my computer.
I'm sorry. I'll take it from here while you're.
Stop being so funny.
I'm sorry. First thoughts for me. Let's go to IMDb's logline.
That was it, no?
A little longer.
Oh.
Maybe it's Wikipedia's. But I'll read it in the voice of Idris Elba. How about that?
Ooh.
As a future war between the human race and artificial intelligence rages on, ex-Special Forces agent Joshua is recruited to hunt down and kill the creator, the elusive architect of advanced AI. Molly.
Yo, that was really good, Asaad.
Not bad, right?
I was riveted. Because you're on the screen now, which I'm obsessed with. So.
Oh, you like it?
So the way that we used to set this up before is I've got 2 cameras at me and there's 2 blank screens, but Asaad wouldn't turn on the screens because he thought I'd be too distracted by looking at myself, which I am.
I was wrong though. You're nailing it.
But I like to be able to see you. It's kind of nice. So when you're talking, I'm just like looking at you. And then when you're not talking, I look away. And then when they are talking, I look at you. I'm waiting for Guffman reference. Very deep cut.
That's crazy. Yeah. Join the million women that have told me they like looking at me. Okay. Okay.
Just let him have this one.
Hold on.
Just let him have this one.
Thumb down. You're not Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars? That's the best one.
I don't know. I thought I would look like a poor man's version of Bruno. Here's the thing. My first thoughts about the creator, I had to sit up correctly in my chair because of how visually stunning it was. Listen, we're living in a time right now, guys, where special effects is very prominent, but it's so hard to do still that you get a lot of big budget films that don't have good special effects. It's still very expensive to do. Like we just watched The Flash and it was like the worst special effects I've ever seen in a movie, and it's a $100 million film, So nowadays, sci-fi films that are rarely made at this level, at this big budget, won't have as good as special effects as this. And like after the first 20 or 30 minutes, I went into this thinking it was going to be a 6 out of 10. Sorry, we don't do that rating here because we do gummy ratings. But
I could take 10 gummies, baby.
I can take 10 gummies. But the special effects in the first 20 minutes, it made me sit up. I'm like, whoa, is this movie going to be good?
They were flawless.
It was visually really
No,
pretty.
like were they not flawless?
They were so damn
They
good.
did a really good job.
And I can't stress the fact that like nowadays film, we're in the complete opposite. We're like copy and paste the special effects, make it look bad, put everyone in front of a green screen in Atlanta and shoot the film. And maybe that's what this was, but they took this to the next level. Now, after you get over the like first 20 or 30 minutes of how pretty the film looks, unfortunately the story has to carry you after that. And as good as the special effects were, the story was definitely not there. The way the movie looked kept me entertained, but halfway through the movie, you really need story to keep motivating you to hurl through this story. And then you do get bored halfway in the middle, like the second act of it. It's still great to look at, but not much there like Sarah. Just kidding.
Thank you for calling me great to look at. That was so nice of you.
But halfway through.
Dumb as a box of rocks. Hard to listen to, you know?
But it was so surprising, Sarah, because it's like, that's not how films are made nowadays. Nothing's pretty nowadays, because it's just like so copy and paste, you know?
I'm so sorry to derail this so early in the podcast. Danny McBride was in this movie?
But I guess he was a voice actor? Was he really?
Maybe. I just pulled up the cast, and he's just on there looking high as a kite and drunk, and he's like, and I don't know why, but there he is.
Yeah, good. I think we're similar on our first thoughts, but it still excited me because I was just like, it was an anomaly. You know, the only thing that I've seen that was this pretty recently was Spider-Verse, but I went in expecting that. Yeah. You know, and even if you read some stories about that, the people that work special effects on that were like, we worked tooth and nail, and it was the worst thing we've ever worked on. You know,
Spider-Man?
Yeah, Hollywood's in a really tough place with special effects right now. That's what makes this movie an even more of an anomaly, you know? And I always make this kind of comparison where it's like where I learned in business school, shout out to community college. There's 3 things you can always want in a product. You can get it done fast, you can have it done well, or you can have it done cheap, but you only get 2 of the 3, you know?
That's so cool. I remember you telling me that for the first time, and I was like, that's so, and I've even thought of it like when I've gone to go get my nails done or whatever. Yeah. And I've thought of that, and I'm like, oh, well, this was fast and cheap.
But it won't be good.
Won't be good.
Or it can be good and fast, but it won't be cheap.
Yes.
You know? And this was a movie that I was like, oh, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, damn it. The special effects is beautiful, and a little bit of hope in me, you guys know I'm the curmudgeon corner in this pod, was like, if this story is good, this film might be really fucking good. But it only took about 30 minutes to kind of unravel.
Really? I think it took me longer to realize, like,
whoa.
Yeah, okay, so I thought that the story was lacking. I thought that, it's interesting, we did see this separately and didn't talk about it, but we have a lot of the same feelings and thoughts. I thought that the idea was really, really cool. Like when I saw the trailers, when we were watching it, I thought it was really cool idea, but unfortunately, they just didn't follow through with the storytelling in it. Interesting subject matter. I give them kudos for the artificial intelligence conversation. I know we've been doing robot movies and AI movies forever, but it came out at a good time with the, you know, SAG-AFTRA strikes and everybody kind of really being concerned about AI taking over and the robots rising up to kill us, which, you know what, take me. Just take me now. I'm done. I'm good. Why did this get really dark really fast?
Why are you giving up so fast? You okay?
There's no good movies anymore. No, I'm not okay. So I thought the robots were, this is a weird thing to say, but I thought the robots themselves were profoundly untalented and uninteresting.
Oh, really?
They didn't have, what did they have that the humans didn't have? I was so confused. Did they have any like cool, like, we'll kick your ass? It was like humans fighting robots, and it was like they were on the equal playing field. I didn't feel like they had...
That's actually a great take, and I didn't realize until you said it. They were so, I mean, they looked like robots, but they had human mannerisms that you were just like, why aren't you a human anyways, you know?
Yeah, they didn't...
That's a good point.
They didn't necessarily like have a leg up because they were computers. They didn't act like computers. They acted like humans.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the point, to try to be like, we're raising them to be like us, but then I don't know. I just thought, I was like, shouldn't they have some sort of a leg up on the humans, and that's why the humans are trying to kill them? But
so you guys have seen this story before, just to I think we should highlight parts of the film more in our pods because people that haven't seen it are like, what happens? But this is a kind of a common story trope, maybe not used in sci-fi, but David Washington, who plays Joshua in it, has an elite operatives team, and they're going into enemy-occupied territory to get this bomb or world-ending machine, and he finds out that it's a child, right? That's a robot child. And they don't know the power, the extent of the power, but then, over the course of the movie, David Washington, who's pretty anti-robot, forms this bond, this like father-daughter-like bond with this dangerous weapon, which is a cool story trope. How do you feel about that actual story?
Yeah, that was cool, and I understand, like, it's cool to be like, well, your human emotions for this thing that looks like a child that you're supposed to love are actually what's going to end up kind of killing you in the end because they're not humans and you're having these human emotions. They did that storytelling part okay, I guess, because spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it and you're planning to and you care. He loses his wife, like John David Washington loses his wife really early in the film, and she was pregnant. So that makes sense, right? They did a good job of completing the loop there, right? So we know why he has this affinity for this child, because it's like, oh, it could have been the same age as my child would have been had they not died. So yeah, it was interesting, but unfortunately it was just like, I don't know. I guess like I felt like not a lot happened and it was too long. And not too long for a movie. It was only 2 hours and 15 minutes, but I guess not a lot happened in those 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It looked like they filmed, I should research this, but it looked like they filmed in like Vietnam and Thailand maybe. And
they called it New Asia in the film, so maybe it was actually an Asian continent.
Well, didn't you think that it looked like Thailand?
Yeah.
Like those
I thought it was China, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. Here's a little bit, I have a lot of thoughts on this that I wanted to bounce off you. This movie falls victim to almost the death sentence of the writing being, I don't know if it's mediocre or subpar, just under mediocre, and then laying all of that on the shoulders of John David Washington, who this isn't his role. I like him, and if you've watched our pod, we featured him in the like top 5 actors Hollywood has no idea what to do with. This is another perfect scenario for him where we're like, this isn't his movie. I love the fact that a strong black man can lead a film that's this high of a budget, but it's not his role. It's someone else's role. And then you combine that with not strong writing and his kind of lack of performance. And it's so tough that it takes you away out of this world that you're kind of sold on.
100% agree.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that John David Washington is a good actor.
It's starting to look like that, right?
No. I've known it for a long time. When I saw Tenet, huh?
Since Ballers, or did you
He
not
was
watch
good
Ballers?
in Ballers.
Yeah, I think he has to be unleashed. And he wants to be serious so bad, but he's not being unleashed.
What do you mean? Like, what would be unleashed?
But like Ballers, like he can joke around, be a normal person.
Yes.
He's taking all these serious roles, which I know a lot of actors are like, to take my career serious, I have to be in a serious movie or a serious role. But I don't think that's him. And I'm saying this as a person who doesn't have Denzel Washington as a father. It doesn't have shoes to fill, but he's so good in Ballers when he's joking. He jokes a little bit in this movie, like 1 or 2 times, and it feels more natural those 2 times than anything else he does in this film. And it's like, man, I think you're a funny person. Let's just be funny.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe he is. Yeah, maybe I don't think it's him being like, I need to do this. I think it's Hollywood being like, you are our next. His first big role was in freaking Tenet.
Yeah.
So like, and he was the big main star of this big movie where he was an action star. He was a dramatic person. He was carrying scenes. He was carrying a film. And they were like, great, that's him. That's how we're packaging him. That's what he's going to be. And I would love it if that had worked. But he is not good at acting. And I don't know how you go from being on Ballers and not even the lead on Ballers, like a recurring guest, or maybe he was a series regular, but to leading Tenet, that's nuts.
I definitely respect that as a human, he's taking roles that challenges himself, And these are tough roles because he has a lot of work to do in this film. He's got to be stoic because he's grieving the loss of his wife. He's got to not like this robot, and then this robot has to win him over, so it has to break him down. So he's like got peaks and valleys, this performance, and it's a tough performance, and that's a lot to chew on for him.
Yeah, I think that was kind of it's a bummer because we want him to win. We love Denzel, but you know what? My dad is really good at construction and being cool and nice. And guess what? I'm not good at construction or being cool or nice. We're not all good at what our parents are good at, you know?
Yeah. And he just has to find it. Me and Sarah talk a lot about this pod about the roles aren't out there, you know? There's such few good well-written roles, well-written movies that they're hard to find, so we're just having an influx of a lot of good actors waiting for a role that's probably never going to come.
But I don't think he's a good actor. I don't think he's a good actor. And but I will say, in his defense, and like you and I have talked about as well, I think sometimes it's like if I don't know what his whole history is. Maybe he studied somewhere. Maybe he's done plays. Mm-hmm. But it's like if we're expecting this person to come off of, like I said, being on a show like Ballers, and then leading a Christopher Nolan film alongside, Robert Pattinson, and like having to do all these really complicated things in this really complicated movie, and then just being thrust into the world. It's like if I made my first muffin and I was like, well, it's pretty good, and they were like, you're the baker, like, of this most expensive bakery. Everyone's coming for you. Don't shit the bed. Like, you're not gonna nail it. You're not a seasoned person. So maybe he just needs more tries, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's got it.
I got a lot for you here before we move on. It's tough because I'm with you. I don't think he's like a technically good actor, but when I watch him, I think about a lot of stuff that he can work in, I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there for him that he can work. None that I know of right now that I could give you, but when I see him, I'm like, oh, you have something that'll work in a lot of different scenarios, but we're not finding it here because you're trying to take your career too serious. That make sense?
Yeah, but again, I don't think that his career choices are really in his hands. If someone's offering you like Tenet or, a movie like The Creator, like, are you turning it down and being like, you know what, guys, actually, I think I'd like to take something like, maybe it's like you're getting the roles that everybody wants. Like they're teeing him up to be this huge Hollywood star. Maybe he will come through and get better. But I don't see it. And we've talked about this a lot, and I feel badly because I sit here and just judge other people's acting. Like, who am I? But they're just, thoughts and opinions, and we all have them. And
yeah.
You can disagree or agree, and that's fine. I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but that's my thoughts. And I think that when I watch him, the way I say it, if people have listened to other pods, like, I don't believe it. Like, his
it's
eyes,
hard to believe, huh?
His eyes are lying to me. Like, his eyes, I can see there's nothing going on behind his eyes. Even if you put a good actor in a bad movie or a poorly directed or a poorly written movie, you could still watch it and be like, I believed him. He did, the movie sucked, and he sucked maybe even in it, and he was miscast, whatever, but I believed what he was saying.
Yeah.
And John David Washington, it's almost like there's just not a lot going on behind the eyes.
I think we should spend as much time talking about his bad acting as we did with Denzel's good acting of the previous pod.
I mean, Denzel, there's just no comparison. And gosh, can you imagine those freaking shoes to fill? But
yeah, his life is real life fences.
Hopefully not. So he's really loved. And
can I ask you a question?
Please.
Sarah, I am Warner Brothers Studio. I'm giving you $200 million to make an action film.
Cool.
We struggle grabbing the black community. Sorry, African American. The urban demographic. We need you to cast an urban figure to lead this movie. We've whittled it down to two options. John David Washington or Michael B. Jordan. What are you doing?
Michael B. Jordan all day, baby.
Really?
All day.
Is he a better actor?
At least he's hot.
Who's a better actor?
I'm sorry. That was terrible. I'd maybe edge it to John David Washington.
Okay. I think we continue this country's...
Do you agree?
This country's rich history of having to compare two black men and not letting them both be successful. Do I agree with what?
that he's? You asked the question. Was I not? Was that a trap?
I think John David Washington is a much better actor than Michael B. Jordan.
Much better, he says.
Yeah, but Michael B. Jordan has been picking his roles 10 times better.
Yes, good point.
He's been picking his roles 10, and maybe those opportunities just come to him because the way he looks, in his image.
Sorry to interrupt you. He's a star. Like he's got that star quality, and I'm trying to think. Are there any? This is a good question, but I digress a lot. So if you can't think of anything quickly, we can move on. Are there any actors out there who you're like, oh, you know what? Christian Bale's a good example. Like who's a star, right? Like he is a movie star. When he's on the screen, you're like, or like, I guess Leo now in his current state, who aren't super, super hot, but they command the screen.
Daniel Day?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Tom Hanks still, or no? Not so much Tom Hanks.
Well, Tom Hanks is used to be, and he's just gotten older, so I don't think he's bad looking. And that's because I was gonna say Denzel Washington, but he's an attractive guy. He's not like super hot, but he used to be.
Yeah.
So that's a bad example. But yeah, I mean, there are people who can. I was wondering if it was only hot people who could be movie stars, and I was like, oh shit, is that the je ne sais quoi we're talking about? Is that they're just hot?
I'm out.
Damn it.
Can I ask you a more general question? I have a bunch of questions for you about this movie that I wanted your opinion. What's your just like opinion of sci-fi in general, sci-fi films?
I think you're really into sci-fi films, and I'm into them okay. I think things like, I really do like, though, post-apocalyptic stuff, which this falls into that category.
Yeah.
I think Hunger Games got me into that. I was like, that's cool. We can, like, this dystopian future of, like, what? Because it's interesting, right, to think what will the United States or the planet look like in X amount of years after whatever scenario they paint. It's really kind of cool and fun and interesting. Like that show Silo was cool because of that. Hunger Games, things like that where you're like, oh, what a fun and like cool world to explore. Our world now, but totally different values and system and principles and way of life than we have. So yeah. I'm into that stuff. Sci-fi stuff like aliens and like shapeshifters, whatever.
Yeah, and they had some newer things in this that separated a little bit from other post-apocalyptic sci-fi films. I wanted to share this take. I hate to be like stuck in a way, but these type of films, I think like it's tough doing it when Terminator did it so early and did it so well. Because I know I'm in the minority here, but I don't fear technology like that, like everyone else does, like AI. I don't have a big fear of that. I think it's just natural, things get smarter. But it's tough to do this like take care of the kid thing for me in a sci-fi world, because Terminator did it so well that I don't know. I just think in terms of story-wise, I've seen it a lot before, and I think they said they thought like if we make the bedding so beautiful, the story will take care of itself, and it doesn't have to be that original. But I kind of saw through it,
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's a really good take. What can we go to Rose and Thorn?
Let's do it.
My rose was the visuals. The VFX were flawless, and they had some really great shots too. I wonder if the cinematographer was just really, really good. I was going to try and write it down, but I knew that it was going to come out like this half-assed, but I'm going to say it anyways and see if you can pick up and finish my thought. There was a shot where the kid was coming out of something, of the ship or something, and it was like this really cool angle from below, and all this light was shining in, and this kid was coming out, and I was like, that's a cool shot. They had these beautiful, beautiful shots, beautiful scenery, flawless with the VFX or the special effects, and I thought that was like, it was visually very stunning.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was my rose. My thorn was the story. I'm not sure why this story had to be told. It kind of has been told before. I thought it was interesting and topical now, so I did think it was a cool concept, but it felt half-baked a little bit. The character development, storyline, and really, Gemma Chan, who plays John David Washington's wife.
Yeah.
She was in the what's the Marvel movie and with all the Marvel movies?
Immortals?
Whatever that one,
Whatever it's called, I
The
forget.
Immortals, that one. With Angelina Jolie and
Eternals,
stuff.
sorry,
Eternals.
Eternals.
Good. No, you were closer than I was. I was at, and you were at Immortals. The Eternals, she was in that. She was in Crazy Rich Asians, and she is Gorgina. She is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. I've not seen her in real life, but
What's Gorgina?
gorgeous, but like in a cute, fun way. Okay. Gorgina. I don't know, I just made it up. She's gorgeous, and I don't know. Maybe also she didn't have a lot in this film. She was just like there to be pretty, I guess, and she did that very well. But I'm wondering if she's also not a good actor.
Yeah.
But I liked her in Crazy Rich Asians. I thought she was very well cast in that because I read the book and I was like, oh, this girl's nailing this part. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's not even like good actor versus bad actor. Maybe it's like well cast or like a good fit for the role. I think she's a good actor. I just don't think maybe this was a well-written part.
Yeah, and I think the movie has a tone. It's kind of like a slow building, stale tone. I shouldn't say stale like in a bad way.
No, but I think that's right. It is stale.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be stale, but which is cool if that's the vision for it. But when emotion has to happen in the film, it's hard to depart from like a stale movie, you know. And emotion has to happen with his wife. Emotion has to happen with the child, and it's hard to depart from that. My rose was Madeline Yuna, the girl that played the robot. I thought she was fantastic. Did you like her?
I loved her.
Wasn't she so great? She had emotion. When she smiled, it like warmed your heart, right?
Stunning looking child. Like just the face, you know, like you're just like, oh, you cast that perfectly looks wise. And she did. She emoted with her eyes.
Yeah.
And you believed everything she said. And she had different, like a little bit of a different arc where she would go through phases where, you know, at the beginning you meet her, she's not speaking at all. Mm-hmm. And then she kind of opens up to this person and she starts to love him. And I bought it. Yeah, that's a great rose. I didn't even think of that. But every time she was on screen and they were really tight up on her little face, I was just like, oh.
Great. Big old round face was just so good. Yeah.
Really, really great.
The Thorn was, you know, in a lot of action movies, or this is not an action movie because it's a sci-fi, but you know, there's this crescendo moment in the third act where the main character has to cry. You know, this has been around for films forever, right, Sarah?
They should have just CGI'd a tear.
Yeah. And John David Washington, I know we've been pitching a fit about his acting the whole time, but that's a very common trope in the film, right? This hardened guy has been forced to take care of this kid who's warmed their heart, and now those fences come down. It's the Grinch that stole Christmas, right? And he has to have this part where, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, they have to depart, you know, and one of them dies. And he has to be really distraught. He has to cry. He has to feel all of the emotions. And the whole movie is leading up to this one scene, you know, to justify his whole journey. And like, yeah, we kind of commented on it before, but it was a tough thing for John David Washington to do. Poor guy. It was a lot to have to do. That kind of came up short.
Yeah, I agree. Can I ask you a question
Please.
about, you mentioned stale being a tone that sometimes works.
Yeah.
Do you, off the top of your head, and I'm putting you on the spot, but what does that mean? Like, can you give me a comp of a movie that you would call like, oh, it was a stale tone, but it worked?
Yeah, I think, and I would even add sterile too, to that. It's, I can't tell you a movie, but I can tell you like Severance. Okay. You know, where it's like, there's not a lot of emotion or the lack of warmth.
Interesting.
You know, like has that tone. Severance has that quite a bit for me too. No, but Severance is great. But
that makes a lot of sense.
Sterile.
I didn't think of that, but when you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, that clicks for me. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. But yeah, it was very like, it was like this, you know, everybody, it's a war-torn country. Everyone's, you know, battling each other. Should we just for a quick second, Allison Janney's in this movie? Like, who knew? Was that a surprise to you too? When you
thought that was strange. Didn't love that selection. I like her almost in every. I don't think I've ever not liked her in anything.
She's great in everything, and she was even great in this. I was just like, ooh, whoa, it was a little whiplash. Like it was like, what are you doing here? Yeah. What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? The movie was very like not leaning towards the humans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Bold take. Bold take. You know, you find out that, there was a part where AI was helping human life, right? It was created to help human life. And then the bombing happened from one of the robots. And that's what started this human-robot war. And what we find out is that like code was written incorrectly from a human. And that's what made the robots do it. So it wasn't their fault. But interesting that they took that approach of like, oh, it's not, and a lot of these movies do like iRobot. It's like, it's not the robot's fault. It's the human flaw that make the robot, which is kind of cool, but we do see this quite a bit.
Well, that's interesting. It's kind of like the guns don't kill people, humans do.
Yeah, exactly.
Argument. Interesting.
Yeah.
I never saw iRobot, so I don't know. But okay, we're moving on.
Yes, let's do it.
Gummy rating.
Okay. All right.
I give this movie 3 gummies. I think it missed the mark, and I think you'd have more fun if you went to the movie theater and saw it high and just looked at the pretty pictures.
You know what? This is Sarah's corner, so I don't ever step on it, but that's a great rating. I agree with that number, but I actually think because this is a sci-fi movie and how they designed the heads of the robots that are half human, you would have a great time high in this.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to look at, right? Like,
yeah.
You're just like, oh, look at all the pretty colors.
Yeah.
Or a little drunk, have a little glass of wine or something like.
It's definitely one of those movies where if you're high, you'd be like, what if this was real? The barrier of entry is a little bit easier to journey into the thought of it.
Maybe that's a good point. Yeah, maybe it would help. I think about it wasn't until the third act, because I always try to see these movies, and I think I always like discount myself or my intelligence. So I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, and then third act, I'm like, okay, they're gonna bring it home.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I just walk out and I'm like, what? Why? Like, what happened? I don't know. I don't have a way to explain it other than like, I'll walk out of some of these movies and just be like, why was that made? And what just happened? And what was if I can't find the kind of like underlying theme of the film, I'm like, I don't know why this movie was made, what the point was, where, I don't know. So I just thought it was just okay. But even looking at this background behind me, I'm like, yeah, take me back. I'll go
pretty
see it again.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have done, leave the actors as they are. Mm-hmm. Punch up the script, get the original script writer, but get in some really great punch up writers who are going to go through and, poke holes in the plot and try to make it a little bit more interesting. And
there's a good movie in here. Maybe not great, but there's a good movie. And maybe it's Terminator 2 already, but there's a good film in this for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of excited to see it. I thought it was going to be good. It looked good. Yeah. But because I like that generally that kind of, like I said, post-apocalyptic world. We're here where we all live and know, but it's a little bit different than we know it, and I think that's kind of cool and like fun to imagine. But it didn't hit for me.
Hey, question for you, Sarah.
You got a lot of questions.
I know. If God forbid you pass away, and I can have a memory card in the back of your neck, plug it into someone else, what's the last 15 seconds that you would say that I could boot you up? What's the last thing you would say?
Where's my wine?
Even though you're dying?
That's the time you need it the most, baby. No, I would say, tell my mom I love her.
Hey, Chris the goat.
And, make sure everybody knew that I love them.
You took that very serious. Okay. Emotional turn for the DTF podcast.
Right. Okay, hold on, take 2. I'd be like...
It's okay, but I'd take you as you are. I thank you for being honest with that answer.
No, I'd be
fucking
like...
weirdo.
You know what that's from?
No. I imagine...
Grow up. Chorus line?
we cruised through this one. I will say, I guess the last thing I will say is what I've seen, and this is just personal. I don't know if you find this a lot too. We've conditioned ourselves with so much good TV out now that like we can sit down for like 45 minutes to an hour and be entertained. That's sometimes the hardest part about watching a 2-hour film. I think this one was 2 hour and change.
2:15.
2:15. What I find in the second act is like, if it's not hurling towards a finish, you get so bored because you're like, I'm not only bored now, I don't care about the next 30 or 40 minutes that I'm sitting in this chair. And the creator is a prime example of this. On about an hour, 10 minutes, I'm like, I know where this has got to lead up to, and I'm not excited for it. And that's tough because you're like, I'm not only bored now, but I know I'm not going to be bored throughout the finish of the film. And unfortunate. And I just think that second act is so important that I see a lot in bad films that people lack that motivation to thrust the story forward.
I would like to point out two things. One is that Asaad and I have very different tastes in movies.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of times I'll see something and be walking out and be like, oh, Asaad's going to love that stinker, you know?
Yeah.
I'm right. He's wrong. But,
True.
But did you say cooked me?
Yeah.
So when we both see something separately, I'd say, of course, when you're together, maybe the other person's experience will influence yours, just as if you were to go see it with your friends and they all hated it. You'd be like, oh, okay. That being said, I think it's interesting that we both saw this separately. We both have very different tastes in film, and we both thought the same thing, essentially.
Yeah, I text Sarah that I saw it, and I was like, it's so good and so bad.
Yeah, and I thought, well, the reason I said that was, as always, the reason that I like doing this podcast is because I really like movies, and I really like talking about them, and I really like TV, and I like acting, and I like film, and I think it's fun to like dissect and talk about stuff like that. So if you would be so kind, as I always, encourage people to do, if you have seen this movie, please let us know what you thought, because I'd be interested to see if there were people who felt differently about it, either good or bad,
It's a great point. I'm glad you said that because, and we're on a run right now where we're probably roasting a lot of movies, but Sarah and I are not the people who are like, what a terrible movie. We wasted our money on that. Like, This is still what old men say is like, it's still a bad day golfing is still golfing. You know, like we still really liked seeing this movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sarah. But
no, I did. I had a great time.
But because we try to make things, and it's our dream too to make movies this big, it's cool to see where movies went right, what went wrong, and we kind of just learn from it. So forgive us if we're ever it feels like we're just bitching out a movie. It's not our intent. It's just like cool to understand why movies work and don't work, Yeah,
I would call it more, picking out the highlights and the lowlights, It's like, what did we like, what did we not like, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. But I just like hearing other people's takes on things and kind of, we really like filmmaking. And as we were saying, I don't know if it was on this pod or another one, but it's such a collaborative effort. And I love that. That might be my favorite thing. It's just kind of like working together with people. So hearing other people's feedback and stuff, I think is interesting. But anyways, I won't harp on that too much. It doesn't matter.
And randomly, we don't agree too much on films. I think we're on a streak where we've been agreeing a lot on films.
Yeah, that's true. You're getting soft in your old age.
We thought this podcast we'd argue a lot more, but we've been agreeing on the latest films. And just so you guys know where the film industry is right now, it's like it's in a lull. A lot of movies got pushed back because of the strike, the writer's strike and the actor's strike. So the creator probably shouldn't have been out right now. We got pushed back from Killers of the Flower Moon, I believe. A couple movies got pushed out to December. So we'll keep watching these movies and reporting. Don't get pissed at us if it turns into the same thing. We're like, we didn't like this movie. But right now it's a lull in films, but we have some really good bangers coming up soon. So stay with us. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, we could lie, but we're just being honest.
Yeah, we still want you guys to see the movie. Even if we, don't like it as much, we'd love if you guys saw the movie and gave us feedback on it, because it's so cool when Sarah and I will see a movie separately, and I'm like, that was bad. And then Sarah would be like, I liked it. I was like, whoa, what? What did I miss?
Yeah.
Or what did you not see? So please give us some feedback, because we'd always love it. Yeah,
and also, bottom line, go support movies if you can. It's fucking expensive, and it's hard out there to have any extra time or money to do anything. But, if you get a chance and you like movies, go see a movie. It's just so fun for me. But do your thing. We still have another segment, so we're not signing off.
Okay, but can I? We're putting a fine point on it, but I'd like to talk about movies for a little bit.
Please.
Okay? For me, my mom was a doctor. She's still around. She's not a doctor anymore. She had 7 kids by herself. Yeah, 7 kids by herself until the only time she would get was Saturday mornings. But she couldn't entertain us. She worked from like 7 to 7 every day. Oh. And the one thing she could do to get all of us together out of the house was bring us to films. We would go to All a Dollar, it was called, in Utah.
Say that again?
We'd go to All a Dollar.
All a dollar?
Yeah, everything's $1. It was called All a Dollar in Utah, and we could each get one snack, but we'd have to sneak it in because it was too expensive to buy snacks there. And that's where I developed like my love for film. It was like my family time. I got to connect with my family. Then we just sit around and talk about movies afterwards. So that's why film means a lot to me. When I first met Sarah, she wasn't that into movies. And I'm like, you're one of the greatest actresses I've ever seen. What do you mean you're not into movies? And she's like, you're gonna make me sit through a movie. And it's so cool to see like my mom's idea of spending time with the family equal loving movies. And then I kind of passed it on to Sarah, although she's always had the love because she acts in it now. So that's kind of why this podcast exists. That's why we go see movies. It's because as corny as that Nicole Kidman bumper is in the beginning, she's actually kind of telling the truth, because like there's really magic that happens in the theaters, and we experience it, and we hope you guys do too. A weird serious moment in DTF Podcast, but we
couple
joke
of
so
them
much
tonight.
already.
Gosh,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad. You want me to do something silly?
Yeah.
That's all I got.
The people want you to sing again. They really liked your voice last time. You want to sing a song for us?
I don't have any songs.
Okay. All right. You are your dad. I don't have any
I'm
fucking
so sore, guys. I'm so sore. Tight back. It's crazy getting older, yo. It's wild. You'll just be like doing nothing, and you'll be like, oh, my knee. It's so dumb.
I'm barren.
Did you say I'm barren? Yeah. Well, that took a fucking weird turn, bro. What? Oh, my knee. I'm barren. Is that how that works? Nope. No kids for me. Okay. A trailer trash.
Yes.
Sarah is least excited to see Aquaman. Holy guacamole, you guys. What the hell? I think I saw maybe like a little bit of one of them, and I was like, what is happening? Nicole Kidman's in this movie. Wow. Have you seen these movies, Asaad?
I've seen the first Aquaman.
What?
It was so bad. Like,
what
is Jason Momoa, like, I thought when we first got Jason Momoa, he was like a cooler version of Lenny Kravitz, a more jacked version of Lenny Kravitz, but it's not. He's like a Lenny Kravitz that drinks a lot of Mountain Dew.
Drinking Mountain Dew is fucking cool, bro. Doozer. Y'all.
Pretty bad.
Yikes.
They tried to hide Amanda Heard in the trailer. She only got a little part of it.
Oh, she's in this one too?
Yeah, she got a little sliver of it.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Okay. The bad guy in this movie, in the trailer, she says she's going to burn Aquaman's village to ashes. What? And she does in the trailer. There's fire. I'm so confused.
Underwater?
Yes, I'm so confused. I don't understand. Although it wasn't the best at science. Guys, what? And the VFX, the underwater hair.
Not working.
They don't got it. You don't have it. You don't have it mastered yet. Keep working.
You gotta admit it, guys, you don't have it.
You don't have it. Just bring it. Let's keep workshopping. We're gonna circle back. We're gonna put a pin in it. We're gonna make Aquaman in 20 years when we've got the hair floating thing. It's what is happening? Have you guys seen this? It's like Jason Momoa standing on land, and then his hair just being like, woo. Like, what are we doing?
Hey guys, quiet on set. We're filming Sarah underwater. Aquaman, take one.
Like, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. Just like
You guys don't have it. You don't have it.
no, it's
At
terrible.
all. You don't have it.
Most excited to see a movie called. Now, let me preface this with, I don't know that I'm actually excited to see this movie because it's about people who ride motorcycles, which I'm just not into, which is probably a surprise for most of you because I am white trash. However, I'm not excited to see it because the premise of the film, it's like about a bunch of like dudes who get on biker gangs, I guess. But the cast is pretty cool. Elvis is in it.
Yes, Elvis is in it.
Austin Butler, who now talks like this for some reason because it won him an Oscar. I'll see anything with Jodie Comer.
Put Jodie Comer in everything.
She's the best actress. She's so phenomenal. How are you on Killing Eve? Have you been still watching it? Did you like it?
It's the biggest show I haven't seen. I'm 3 episodes in, and I absolutely love it.
Yay!
Yeah. Bad take though. I don't love Sandra Oh.
In general, or in this show?
This is the only thing I've kind of seen in.
No,
I'm just kind
you're
of
wrong.
on her.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll give it a couple more episodes.
And also, personal story.
Okay.
This is a really bad story. I heard I was getting my makeup done on some show, and her makeup artist was like, "Oh, And she like answered a call. She's like, oh, that's so nice. Sandra's people just called me. I guess she like worked on her on Grey's Anatomy for years, but hadn't worked on it for years. But the show was ending, and Sandra Oh wanted to like send her old makeup artist a gift, and she was like, she was just so lovely, and like I've only heard wonderful, lovely things about her. And my friend was gonna play with her, and she just seems really nice. But I think she's a really formidable force of an actress.
Cool.
Yeah, she's really good.
Okay.
I don't know if you don't like her in this, that's fine, but I think she's a really great actress.
What's the name of this movie called? The Biker?
The Bike Riders.
The Bike Riders. And it has for a long time, for a decade, Christian Bale is my favorite actor.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. I like him so much. I think he's a great actor.
Tom Hardy doing a weird voice, right?
Or is that his
voice?
Bane, he's done a lot of weird voices. I don't know what's going on, Tom.
He's trying to redeem himself. He's like, I tried really hard to do it, and then nobody could hear me, so we had to redo it, and it was totally shit.
My bike goes really fast.
He's going like this. He's like, you want to be a bike rider?
And then, I go vroom vroom on the freeways.
I'm hard. I'll fuck a man up. I'll kill a man.
You seen this leather jacket? Not pleather. It's real leather.
It's like, why is it like, I think it's, I don't know. It's funny. Like,
yeah.
usually people would be like, I'm a bike rider. I'm a murderer. I'm a bad guy.
Not Tom Hardy.
He's like, I know. I'll do the opposite.
Bugsy Malone.
Yoinks. Zoinks. Fruit stripes gum.
It looks good. It looks good.
Do you remember your trailers for this?
I do. Bad one. It will forever be the bad one until it comes out. Until I die, this will be the worst trailer ever made.
What?
It's called The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti.
No.
I hate that fucking trailer so bad.
It looks very white.
But my favorite trailer, we finally did it, guys. We've leaned into it. I knew it. I was early on this. When everybody was saying, we don't like Captain Marvel, I said, hold on.
I knew it. I knew it.
I said, hold on. I think this girl's got something. And the something that she has is nothing. We have to appreciate the nothingness of Brie Larson.
That's mean.
She's just kind of like doesn't give you a lot, and I love her. And I can't wait till the Marvels comes out, guys, because you know Sarah's hate for Brie Larson. And we're going to watch this movie, and I'm so excited to pod about it, and I think we do a 3-hour pod. I think we talk about her in that tank top, because, man, does she look beautiful in that tank top. Are you done? Are you quitting the pod? Is this it? This is the last one? But yeah, we got the Marvels. I'm fully in. I'm so glad I was an early adopter when everyone hated the Marvels. I'm so glad that I adopted it early.
I will say that I don't remember. It must have been probably in this movie that I saw the trailer for it too. I was like, they finally got me. They didn't get me, but you know how we've seen a couple of movies and we've been like, oh, this is a different cut of the trailer.
Yeah.
This one finally looks interesting. Like it finally got me. It looked a little less corny, a little more action-packed, and I was like, oh, I'm actually gonna maybe go see this movie now. Of course, I'm gonna go see the movie, but I was like, oh, maybe I'll actually enjoy this movie.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Brie Larson's back, baby. We're back. We're going to see the Marvels. 3-hour pod.
Do you guys think we should add a drinking game to our show every time Asaad mentions Brie Larson's tank top or Brie Larson? We do something weird or like take a shot or like make him put $1 in the douche jar. Just, I'm open to comments.
A douche jar's funny. We should have one here. I think that's great.
Just like I'm open to ideas, but I'm thinking we need to put something in place because it's getting out of control, right?
Yes.
It's like it's too much Brie Larson talk. It's too much Brie Larson tank top talk.
That's my Twitter handle, Brie Larson's tank top.
Brie Larson tank top talk.
That's our pod.
We're renaming the pod. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Please, let us know what you thought of this movie. Go support films. Go support films with black leads. Go support films with female leads, queer leads. All of the people who haven't really had a big voice so far. Let's support them and give them a chance to show us something cool.
Well said, Sarah.
Thank you. Was it?
Yeah.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. We'll be back very soon.